kick off the meeting. Welcome everyone to the joint meeting for the Rules and Open Government Committee and Committee of the Whole. Tony, can we have a roll call, please?
Arenas, Cohen,
Here.
Davis,
Here.
Morales, Jones.
Present.
Going back to Arenas, I see she popped on.
Here, Tony, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to start out with the agenda for Tuesday, September 21st. And we are going to start on pages 4 and 5. Six and 7. Eight and 9. 10 and 11. 12 and 13. 14. And that is it. And there's an ad sheet for the maker of the motion. We're going to go to public comments first. And the first public comment is Tessa. Go ahead, Tessa.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I was commenting on the agenda. I think that's where we're at the agenda. Good.
We're on the agenda.
For September, what? September 21st, right?
That's
Good.
correct.
All right, I get an A+, good.
You got it.
So anyway, thank you. Anyway, I was saying that the one issue that concerned me was the selling of the land. It was land on Almaden, and this has become another problem that I'm seeing in the community in regards to I don't know if this specific land is public, like redevelopment land, and it might not be, but I'm wanting to comment on the sale of lands that are the people's lands, and that's our land. And same thing with the redevelopment land, that is our land. And I have seen in my neighborhood at Stockton and Julian, there was an empty lot, and it is now becoming a hotel. It was sold. And it's the same issue with the Boston property that we're looking at the edge of our riparian corridor, our river, which is not being protected. And that is also redevelopment land. And this is where the people are supposed to decide what happens with that land, and that the city should not have the benefit of just selling the land and making a lot of money to developers. And that is what is happening. And it's the same thing that's been happening to many of our lands that have been taken away. The earth that has been taken away and has been developed by capitalism and is now putting us at the brink of losing our survival, and the survival of the rest of the life on earth is in the balance now. And so when we're talking about the people's land, that needs to be saved for growing food. That is our basic needs, and we need to get back to the basic needs and not be developing these properties that are.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. I guess a few items I wanted to mention. Thank you for the dumpster day things, as always. It's a great way to have it's a great way to spend a Saturday morning for all parts of the community. For items 2.9 and 2.18, there's tech issues and software issues that I hope that you can really get it together, that these may be connected to, it's going to be important fall about AI issues, and that you've done some really good practices already here at the council committee meetings about items that are really important and vibrant to democracy and community democracy and good practices, that it's been really interesting. You know, you're engaging the community, and I hope you continue that this fall. And it's those open democratic practices that can really address the AI issues and the software and tech issues of items 2.9 and 2.18, I think. I'm guessing, I'm hoping, and it should, in any event, can be relevant. So thanks. There's also an item about seamless transit services that's really interesting. And it's hopeful that we can talk about mass transit in this age. I think by 2030, it can be easy to talk about mass transit again. But for this next decade, you know, it's good seamless transit practices now that we do have to address the future of single occupancy vehicles, and that we don't run away with that sort of process. And it's good luck. You know, worker rights are going to be important to talk about the future of mass transit issues, I think, because workers are going to need mass transit. Good luck how we can talk about mass transit well, and thanks.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve
And can we add the ad sheet?
with the ad sheet.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen. Cohen, Davis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the agenda for September 28th. And we're going to start out on pages 4 and 5. Six and 7. Eight and 9. 10 and 11. 12 and 13. 14 and 15. 16. And that is it. I'm going to go to the public, and we have our first public speaker is Tessa. Go ahead, Tessa.
Unmute. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. The draft agenda for the September 28th, there was the Boston property, which is the river. I'm speaking for the river, and I'm also speaking for the people of San Jose, and the safety that we need, you know, and the poor design of doing that. And I was very happy to hear that the Sierra Club is suing the city of San Jose, and this is the right thing that should be happening. We need to be doing this for so many of the practices that you are performing in our city that are leaving us at risk in terms of climate crisis. And that when you build to the
Tessa, sorry for
What?
interrupting. Which item are you speaking to?
well, I'm not sure what number it is, but the Boston property that is on the river, that we're looking at was on the agenda. And
For-
so I'm not sure what number it was.
You mean
but
for the
it's
agenda for
for
yesterday?
September 28th, right? Right? Yeah.
There was,
So anyway, so basically I'm talking about that issue, and the fact that you know, when we say, oh, we're building on the same footprint because it's the paved area that we paved, but the pavement went up to 0% away from, it's right at the what they call the drip line of the tree line, drip line. That is meaning no setback. The rules of San Jose say from the river, from our, riparian corridor, it's supposed to be 100 feet. That there can be exceptions, and we can do 35 is, for downtown. But the issue to doing it right on the drip line and saying, oh well, that's the original footprint of the parking lot, that was wrong to begin with too. So you can't say that we're, two wrongs don't make a right. And so basically, this is the wrong way we're going, and it's going to leave people, as we saw in Florida, the crushing of the building and the 100.
Chair, I
Thank you.
didn't want to interrupt, but that's not on the agenda.
I know, Vice Chair. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Heads up for and maybe any other speakers that that's their topic of conversation. Thanks. Sorry.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I hope whoever put the proposal for the Chinese immigrant apology, that you do it correctly. Our school system has failed us. The city has failed the younger generations to really understanding and comprehending what has happened here in San Jose. Most people don't know that this was the first state capital of California. Peter Burnett, Leland Stanford, Judge Lawrence Archer, who was also a mayor of San Jose, who basically Kelly Park that's his area. His wife was named Kelly. That there isn't that education piece that really allows the citizenry to understand what happened here. You see, all of the land there at Stanford University was procured by the exploitation of the Chinese labor. There was 5 Chinatowns here in San Jose. One of them was over there by Woodrow Wilson Junior High School. It was right there on Vine Street. They were all burnt down. Okay, so if you're gonna do it, that's fine, because it is just that it is done. However, the education piece is going to be critical to determine whether or not the city truly understands what went wrong and how much they are actually responsible, or this is just some political move. So what I'm asking is, really, if you're gonna do it right. Because Stanford, Burnett, and Judge Lawrence Archer, all 3 of them, and the property that Stanford University is built on now, and the way that it was acquired, that must be attached to the exploitations and the reason why you are apologizing to the Chinese.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. I got pretty upset about the way the mayor is handling consent calendar yesterday. I really hope we can work on the issue. I'm very open to work on it. To speak on the items on this agenda, there is actually, of all the appropriation items on this item, lots of money. There's $500 for worker compensation practices. I just wanted to quickly remind of the importance that you did some nice work with pay raises for city staff and city government, and thank you. It set kind of a standard, I think, for the Bay Area, hopefully. I know Berkeley's looking into it, Oakland is looking into it, a bit of pay raises issues. I hope this can help the issues of the VTA at this time. Very much needed. The final 2 items, in the 8th column, on this agenda are about housing issues. One is about, it possibly could be about the subsidy ideas of affordable housing I've been talking about, and you should be aware that it's coming down the pipe. And they're really interesting to help make transitional housing to permanent housing for homeless people much easier with important new subsidies that are available. And my feelings, how we really need to describe the subsidy process to each other more. We have to be open to that dialogue and conversation in this new era of COVID. And for the final item about the eviction moratorium, good luck. Are you guys going to be able to ask for emergency assistance at the time of September 30th to make sure that people will not be sued, tenants won't be sued by owners? That's an important stipulation, even though we do have till March 2022 in Santa Clara County. That stipulation can still happen September 30th. I hope you guys can work on it and we'll talk about it at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Barat?
Yeah, hi. This is about the item number 4 in the agenda, public safety services. So I wanted to maybe see if I can get a clarification on what the public safety services could be. Could it be safety regarding traffic, especially near parks, traffic violations? Could it be other contamination? Just if someone could shed some light, I would like to maybe include that as part of the agenda and then request that here.
Thank you. This public comment is your opportunity to comment on any items on the agenda. If you have some specific questions, I would recommend that you reach out to either your council member or city staff, and we can work with you to clarify things on if you have those future questions. All right, bringing it back to the committee. If I can have a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Peralez,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the meeting schedule, and we have a pension obligation, respective roles and responsibilities for policy development. And I am going to go to the public first. And I see Paul, you have your hand raised.
Yes, this is the reason why there was such a public pushback on the city manager's office for providing that letter, is that you have these relationships where the city manager's office is also responsible for police officers' pensions. You see, so there's this. What was created yesterday is not good, because what it did is it showed that there are powers that they will exercise that are not necessarily theirs, and the city manager's office itself does not see the conflict of interest in providing a letter like that and trying to circumvent a democratic process, however lightly or however politely it was stated. That was the intention behind it. And so when you have those kinds of conflicts, my hope is that in the future, that the city manager's office can see and identify clearly that, am I in charge of something else, but yet I'm almost like advocating on behalf of this other entity, and to think that the city manager's office does govern these pension boards and, their paychecks, and then is almost like advocating on their behalf on the other end. It's just something really to be mindful of. And because it puts the public in a position to where we're the ones that have to point out the conflict of interest. Whereas the city manager's office should know that just on its face, because of their role, that there's just an inherent conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair.
Hi, Boy Beekman here. Yeah, I think Paul is very nicely trying to ask, how can government offer more proactive steps towards good, open democratic practices? What exactly does that entail and mean? And can we be talking about that openly here and everywhere? It's important stuff. It's certainly what we need to talk about with the tech issues. For this issue, yeah, and I also hope that there can be a good negotiated process of the city manager's letter yesterday about the future of the city charter. Good luck how we can negotiate that process. For this item, boy, it was just sitting there. I really want to say something about something, and I don't quite know what. Maybe to talk about the future of the economy in relation to this pension study meeting I guess you're going to have. I mean, I guess a thank you that you're going to do that. And when you have these sort of meetings, it is with the intention to to look at what will be our future direction of the economy in the next 2 years. And you were asking these questions at the May budget meetings. I tried to provide my own feelings, what to possibly be expecting and work towards. If we learn to talk about the possibility of a large earthquake in the next few years, does that make this process easier to talk about for everyone? I hope I can get some clarity from someone soon, you know, what I can expect in the next few years. It doesn't have to be secretive. That's what I'm trying to learn how to talk about. It's uncomfortable to offer these things, but it can really help us plan for the next few years, and we can be very open and unconfused. And so good luck how we can do that. And just thank you very much again for having such a study session coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Tessa? Go ahead, Tessa.
Okay, now it's working. Thank you. Yes. Well, I thought that was so interesting what Paul is saying and so critical to where we're going forward, like with this pension, and it's the police, and you know all you know, and this connection between the police and our city, and how there is conflict of interest there, and how when we're trying to reform the police and reimagine, well, we're even calling it reimagining safety, which I actually appreciated, because you know it will have issues about our climate crisis and our vision zero and safety issues, earthquake. But
Tessa?
when we really, I know we're dealing with police. I know we're dealing. Thank you. I
Pension
understand.
obligations.
We're dealing with the police pensions and different pensions that we're liable for as citizens. And so basically, when we have these conflict of interests in regards to the city manager's office that decides these issues, and as we saw it at the Charter Commission, which was a meeting about climate crisis, and they took it over. It got taken over by the police issue that she brought up, which was wrong to begin with. I didn't understand, because that never got resolved, our climate crisis issue, to put it in our charter. And yet that's where the power of our city manager, who has control of the budgets and the pensions and these issues, and then could write a letter that could undermine the whole process of our people's agenda, that we were talking about climate crisis, and she inserted something about the police to take away our impacts about controlling the police because of her you know,
Tessa?
that she's being
Tessa?
controlled. Okay, I know you're
Sorry.
trying to say stay focused on the pension, but
Stay
the thing
focused.
is, I know I'm trying, is that the pension is being created by the city manager, and yet she has conflict of interest in supporting of the police. And this is where we don't have a fair and equal way that we're going to
Thank you. Bring it back to the committee. Can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Great. It's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen, Davis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the public record. And Tessa, I see you have your hand raised. And this is for anything that's in the public record.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I was just thinking about the public record in regards to the problems we've been having when we're having yesterday our council meeting, and where it's hybrid. And there were a lot of breaks in it where it would drop off and I wouldn't hear what was going on. And so these are the problems of the public record, that I'm not able to know as a citizen what's happening, because we're having this hybrid. And obviously it's expanding of the network at our city hall, which I heard had problems doing the hybrid. I'm impressed that you even tried, but the thing that you're trying, but the thing is, what? The public record.
It has to be related to an item that's in the public record.
Right. So the council meetings and the YouTubes and all those are part of the public record. And even that I cannot hear the meeting is what the problem is. What?
Sorry for interrupting, but there actually are documents that are submitted to the public record that you can You
Oh,
can
that's on the
see-
agenda that are there. You have to click on the
Right,
public
it's the
record.
actual documents.
Oh, I
that-
see. Things that people have sent to the city. To those are
Exactly.
okay. So I didn't look at those. Okay, sweetie, I will take my time and I will yield my time to your enjoyment. And thank you. All right.
Thank you. Blair, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? I hope. I think.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, these are parking items that very interestingly are part of your fall agenda, and I think can very much relate to the new data analytics practices you'll be doing that has been spelled out by the Smart Cities Committee and Civic Innovation. Alex Shore has been working on this issue actually, what can be good, I think in Catalyze SV, he's held a public meeting about it. I'm hopeful to come at it from a technology angle, besides, to really be considering, green practices, and that we can't just simply rely on single occupancy vehicles. We have to be considering mass transit and such, how to continue those good practices. To consider technology, the ALPR program before COVID was doing some amazing things in that, data collection for ALPRs was being at a year at a time at that point. Because of, the civil rights, the civil protections, and democratic practices of how it can be applied to data collecting and ALPR use, they narrowed that down to 6 months. They can collect
Blair?
the same amount of information in 6 months
Hey,
for
Blair?
ALPR. This is parking technology, sir.
Okay, I was trying to make the connection, so I'm sorry.
Boy,
Go
you
ahead.
better make the connection, Chappie. This is important stuff. So with technology, this has to be a part of the future of how you address parking issues. And the fact if you have good practices, good democratic practices, this can help with your AI stuff this fall. This is all connected to good data collection practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Yes, I want to extend my gratitude to Brenda Doman. That was her name. Her last name was Doman. I had mentioned her yesterday and I forgot her last name. She's been producing some really good letters, very accurate, very poignant to the issues that she's speaking about. So I just want to extend my gratitude to her. Now, with respect to, they're bringing up some very good points there. It's the one that really caught me was like in the case of a disaster, if the city needs to evacuate, you're not going to be able to depend on mass transit. That's a very critical question, and sometimes those critical questions can be lost in the chorus, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a chorus of people that, this is an absolute, this must happen, and those things kind of, set me up as, what do you mean this has to happen? That this is the way that we need to go? It just sounds wrong. Secondly, I'd like you to know that I did some research on the corporation that is advising that committee or that subject. Okay, 69% of that company, they have 45,000 members that are connected to it. Of these 45,000 members, 69% are male, 83% are white. This is something that has to be taken into account because they are advising the council with respect to these types of issues. That's why Elma's letter was so critical, because it dispelled all of the issues that they were saying that this is true, this is true, this is true, and she discounted all of them with factual information, actual true information. So I hope you're able to bridge those disparities.
Thank you, Paul. Sheena?
Hi, I'm located next to the 71 Vista Montana site, and I'm not talking about safe RV parking right now. I'm talking about parking, period. That is one of the last items on the public record. I know the city of San Jose is exploring options to reduce the amount of required parking per unit. I think this would be a disaster. San Francisco tried to do this to get people to use public transit, and what happens is not very green at all. It's people, cars circling all over the city, traffic jams, trying to find a single open parking spot. I think this will absolutely backfire. I also wonder, given the cost of remediation of arsenic levels at this site already, 7 million versus a few $100,000 to build underground parking, whether that might be driving some of this agenda rather than actually taking green action. I do not believe reducing parking is good for the environment here, because you need to use the carrot and provide better public transit options that are more efficient, rather than taking away people's options for parking, which just results in a traffic jam. We see this around the neighborhood in our area constantly already. That's all for me.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee. Can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Tony?
Arenas,
Yes.
Cohen, Cohen,
Aye.
Davis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Doesn't appear to be anything in the consent calendar. So we are now on to open forum. Go ahead, Blair.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Smart, I go first. Councilperson Jones, we're gonna have to have a little talk about, you're a bit condescending towards, I think I've offered something incredibly relevant and intelligent to the concepts of what you're going to do about the future of parking issues. To address the future of the technology in parking issues, when I'm trying to connect it to how this is going to connect to AI issues this fall in San Jose, and how we have to practice good open democratic practices to work towards our better AI ideals, is incredibly relevant. And for you to say otherwise, I'm just shocked you continuously act this way towards me. We're going to have a conversation about this in the future. Thank you very much. We will, I've just simply spelled out what should be relevant conversation and topic matter. So I'm really hurt that you continuously act this way towards me. To continue with public comment time, I was going to want to speak about 9/11 issues today, but I figured I better put it off for a week or so. I need to better gather my thoughts about the subject matter. We're addressing certain parts of 9/11 at this time that's important and truthful and meaningful, but there's several other parts within our own country, what this own country needs to address of itself and its actions on that day that really have to be addressed for our future healing, basically. And we do that, we can better talk about the issues of COVID, the shared responsibility of all of that. I would like to thank and we have to work on the vaccine issue this fall as well. We have to learn different ways to talk about the vaccine passport process and not close off simply because to be thankful that Gavin Newsom has won at this time and we can wait another year for a final election. Thank you. I hope we can offer notification policies for the future of homeless issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Brian?
Well, I am going to just say this. Thank you all for your service. After last night, let's put it this way, if I was sitting in your chair, I'd have melted. I have to say thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Bharat?
Yeah, hi. This is more of a procedural question, Chappie. This is my first time in this forum. So I wanted to understand, yeah, thank you. So I think there are some valid points that I think Blair mentioned. There was another gentleman who spoke about someone sending an email in public forum. Actually, I went and looked at that. So what is the process? I think there's a tremendous amount of knowledge, wealth of information to make San Jose a better place. I mean, what is the process for actually getting some of these ideas over there. So I kind of feel that there's already a motion which will be voted. So the public forum for some of these public comments may not be really taken into it because the motion is already set. But what is the process by which some of these ideas from Blair and others mentioned could actually be taken by the city representatives here? And then how can something actually get on an agenda? I just wanted to understand the procedural stuff because it seems like there are ideas, but the decision already is well along the way. So maybe Chappie, if you can help clarify that, that'll help us collectively see how we can make either the parking or various other things, AI and other things much better.
Yeah, thank you. And just so you know, there's several different ways you can reach out or connect with the city. You can participate in public comments like you're doing now. I highly recommend that, again, that you reach out to your city council member and connect with them. And, that's a great source, either the council member themselves or their staff. That's a great source to, communicate with, advocate for whatever issues or positions that you have, and work with them to try to get those initiatives or proposals moving forward. So that's my recommendation. Sheena? Go ahead.
This is about the 71 Vista Montana RV parking site. I'm curious about the phrasing RV parking to describe the site on Vista Montana. It's intended to evoke a very different image. Someone on Nextdoor said, oh, if it's like the camping RV is clean and they keep the trash under control, it sounds great. But what we've actually seen instead are pickup trucks and trailers loaded with trash and broken windows, laundry hanging out, and they've gone inside this site so far. We've also found quite a few discrepancies in your descriptions. For this pilot, you said it would initially only include vehicles from the Orchard Parkway encampment, but instead someone from the Coleman encampment was allowed in the first day. This was supposed to be for operational vehicles, but at least several had to be towed in. Most of the people who are parked there are not even living on site, so it's not exactly RVs with people inside. I've already written in various emails and spoken about how EOC protocols were invoked frivolously because a private landowner with deep pockets, Apple, wanted to evict a long-known encampment because the city didn't do anything about it until there was a fire there. I think frivolously calling an emergency to bypass usual public planning erodes public trust, and I know this committee is about transparency in government. One cause for the urgency supposedly was that these operational vehicles might be dispersing across San Jose, but as I already mentioned, many of these cars had to be towed in. I think this, again, this feels like empty promises to us. Trust is incredibly important if you're going to be working with our community, with the public. We're also finding that the public health guidelines are being selectively enforced, like you towed the cars from there, but the people sleeping in RVs that have started appearing in our neighborhood that were never there before, who are coming because of this program, will probably not be towed. There is, because of the pandemic regulations that permit them to stay on the streets for now.
Thank you. Paul?
Yes, considering the humiliation that people experience dealing with poverty, there's a lot of reasons why there's poverty. Some of the women have been raped, they've been beaten, they've experienced child molestation, and some of the men as well. They've experienced group homes, they've experienced a lot of social issues and a lot of social failures. Okay, and then to compound that by placing them in a position because of the failures of the city, you have failed them. You have failed the population. There is absolutely no excuse for not going above 25% of affordable ELI and DLI housing for the past 6 years. That is absolutely unacceptable. And you should be embarrassed. You should feel ashamed that you have failed the people, because at the same time, you built 95% of 100 to 115% of market rate housing. And Perales made sure of that. He made absolutely sure that that would happen. Okay, but he did it with some help. Okay, so this is the issue that I had with you guys putting this on Cohen. Okay, because it wasn't his issue. It started with Perales and the signing of that non-disclosure agreement with Google. That was the start point. And there's a failure to acknowledge that. There's a failure to accept responsibility and accountability for that. You wanted this job. Nobody asked you to run. You wanted it. So when you got into that position and you asked the voters to put you in, okay, they did put you in, but not for this self-service kind of to where you thought, okay, well now I have the power and I'm going to exercise it. Because those citizens, the ones in the RVs, they experienced embarrassment. They experienced a feeling like a rejection. I mean, that's just unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Thank you. Sharath?
Hello, my name is Srinath, and thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak here. My brief talk is regarding the safe parking at 71 Vista, Montana. I'd like to. I'm a 14-year-old law-abiding citizen of San Jose, and I would like to emphasize. I would like to highlight Sheena, who earlier spoke on the same topic. I'm very angry that the city is anything but open because they didn't factor any of our inputs during the decision-making process. Granted, they made a decision to relocate the homeless RV to our neighborhood. There were a lot of questions there. There are a lot of questions and concerns which are still unanswered to this day. The decision was made 2 weeks ago. We don't know how the city is going to enforce the code of conduct to ensure good behavior. There is no clarity on who the residents are going to be. So I don't know if I can let my children walk to the park right next door by themselves. What's not also very clear is who's going to be accountable for security violations. I would like to ask the same question that I asked Mayor Liccardo yesterday, which is what kind of democracy would you like to have? Would you like to advocate? One where every voice counts, or one where only the voices that favor you count? If it's the former, let's work together on reevaluating the poor decision on relocating the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Last public speaker, Bharat?
Yeah, hi. I'm just hearing this from several residents here about the safe parking site. I also happen to live close to it, and there are a couple of items that I wanted to find out again, Chappie. Since it's my first one on this particular forum, I was actually with my family and several kids who regularly use a children's park that is adjacent to this safe parking site, and I saw a vehicle come out of the safe spot, a parking slot, and actually run a red light. And then we actually caught that on camera. It ran a red light, and luckily there were no kids who actually cross that crosswalk on a regular basis, because there's also a soccer field right opposite that. So my question here is, I mean, things like that, and that's a pretty bad violation, safety or road safety violation. So the question here is, when things like that happen, I just wanted to find out from a transparency perspective, because one of the other speakers also mentioned, so is the city transparent whenever certain things like the safe parking site is placed adjacent to a children's park and close to a children's soccer field? What are the things that I can do to actually enable that? Because other cities in California have this where they don't allow these next to a safe next to children's park and soccer fields, etc. So maybe it's again a procedural question. What exactly can be done to actually put this on an agenda and then work towards making sure future RV safe sites are not next to a children's park or a soccer field?
Thank you. And that's our last public speaker. This meeting is adjourned.